Hello, welcome to Global Business. I am your host, Imewari Uhiomohai. President Bola Tinubu says that he feels the pains of Nigerians because Nigerians have been going through pains actually since he came into power as a result of the removal of fuel subsidy and unification of the exchange rate. These policies are seen by some as anti-people or anti-poor. In fact, the Nigerian Labour Congress is currently on a protest for these policies. But he came out on Monday and said he was releasing some economic goodies to Nigerians. His concentration, unlike previous administration, have been small businesses and farmers. So we shall be looking at the issues. What are these goodies that President Bola Tinubu released on Monday, especially for small businesses? And Franklin Akinyosoye will be speaking to us about the impact or if this thing can work. Also on the program, we're looking at the issues in the health sector and brain drain. We'll have Dr. Kasmi Ifeanyi who will be speaking to us on the health sector and brain drain. But first, we'll have business trends, after which we'll have straight business immediately after with Zorian Pere Joel. Let's join Victor Anigo Nomsu for business trends.
The Corporate Affairs Commission (CAC) plans to delist 100,000 registered companies from its database to enforce compliance with its recently adjusted rules. The revelation came during a training session on the use of beneficial ownership register in Lagos, where Alhaji Garba Abubakar, the Registrar General and the Chief Executive Officer of CAC, addressed the audience. He stated that CAC steps up enforcement of 100,000 companies to go off its register for the failure to file an annual return. He also highlighted the seriousness of the Commission's stance. These companies had yet to submit their annual returns for the past decades, prompting the need for their removal from the CAC's record. However, the CAC will notify affected companies before any action under Section 692 of the CAMA 2020 is taken. Abubakar also strongly advised companies to ensure timely payment of their annual returns to avoid removal from the database. An essential step towards combating corruption, money laundering, and terrorism financing in Africa, the Corporate Affairs Commission has taken a proactive approach by creating Africa's first Beneficial Ownership Register (BOR), which was developed with the support and assistance of the World Bank. This register will play a crucial role in prompting transparency and accountability. Abubakar encouraged also various stakeholders, including the investigating agency, legal practitioners, journalists, and civil society organizations to utilize the BOR to carry out their responsibilities fully. The European Union has suspended its financial support and cooperation on security with Niger with immediate effect following the military coup there. The coup's leader declared General Abdurrahman Tiani as head of state on Friday, outsitting President Mohamed Bazoum. The EU, the United States, and other countries have called for the unconditional release of Bazoum from detention and the restoration of democratic order in the country. The EU's foreign policy chief, Joseph Borrell, made a statement to the press stating that in addition to the immediate cessation of budget support, all cooperation actions in the domain of security are suspended indefinitely with immediate effect. Niger is a major recipient of West African aid and a key partner of the European Union in helping contain irregular migration from sub-Saharan Africa. The EU also has a small number of troops in Niger for a military training mission. Between 2021 and 2024, the EU allocated 503 million euros, rounding up to $554 million from its budget to improve governance, education, and sustainable growth in Niger. Japanese factory output improved in June for the first time in 2 months. Government data showed this on Monday, highlighting growing confidence among manufacturers buoyed by strong demand. Many countries, including Japan, are relying on domestic consumption to underpin growth while the risk of global recession persists. The output rose 2% in June from a month prior on a seasonally adjusted basis, missing the 2.4% median market forecast. This followed a revised 2.2% decline in May. Production is likely to continue to pick up on the back of resilient domestic demand, particularly for private consumption. This statement was made by an executive research fellow at NLI Research Institute, Taro Saito. However, the pace of recovery is likely to be moderate due to continued sluggish export growth caused by slowdown in overseas economies. The figures tally with improvement in sentiment among big manufacturers in the second quarter as raw materials costs peaked and the end of pandemic curbs lifted consumptions. An official from the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, METI, told a media briefing that production in the auto-related sector, which comprises a large chunk of corporate Japan, sales both at home and abroad, were also strong. He also stated that output of trucks and parts, including gear systems, also contributed to the upward swing. Between January and June, global production of Toyota Motor, Honda Motor, and Nissan Motor reportedly increased as semiconductor supply eased. The METI official also stated that electronic components and devices output rose 6.8% as shipments of capacitors used in smartphones increased also. METI maintained its assessment of industrial outputs, saying production is slowly picking up. Manufacturers surveyed by METI expected output to fall 0.2% in July and increased 1.1% in August. The data also showed this. We'll continue to monitor the effects of the shortage of parts and materials and the impact of rising prices in the coming month, the official lastly stated. And that's it on Business Trends. I am Victor Anigo Nomsu.
With the massive increase of fuel price, I'm out here on the streets to find out how the people are coping with this new price. In addition, I would also like to find out what they think about this NLC strike. Let's hear from them.
Well, regarding the issue about fuel hike, actually it's not what we bargained for. Successive governments will always expect the better, but this is what we get. Nigerians do their best, and this is what we get after each election. For me, we try our best to manage the little money that comes into our hands per day. You see us bargaining with drivers every day, bargaining with the bike riders. Even themselves, we try to pity them because these days they give a price. If you try to price, you look at their face, it's so mean. You pity them, you want to add something. So this is just what we are going through on a daily basis. On that. Then for the NLC strike, actually, NLC is doing the right thing. They are the voice of the masses. If they are to stay put at home or stay quiet, then Nigerians will feel that probably they'll be giving money to keep quiet. But for what going to strike is good. At least to tell the government that these are the feelers. Nigerians are not comfortable.
Unbearable. Like for we now, when are working under private organization, we do feel it a lot because most of us are coming from long distance and we can't cope with it anymore. Like the price all those bus people are putting is very high. And it's the amount that you must pay before you go to your destination, going home all this while, and you do come to work every day. you don't have any place around that maybe you can just start different or this that to save up, and there's no way for us to go back home and go sit at home waiting for the government to do something. We have to work for our own self. We have to hustle for our own self like that. So the fuel price, we should really do something about it. And for me, for the NLC, this thing, NLC going on strike, I'm really in support of it. I'm very in support of it for them going on strike, because for them to tell the government to know that yes, we are not happy with the situation right now.
It has not been easy at all. It has been very difficult, coupled when it was 190 naira per liter, but now they are buying almost 650, and it has had a very big impact on we, the masses, especially. Like from here to Banek, it used to be like 150 per drop, but now we are entering 300. That's not been easy at all. And I believe the government of the day needs to do something very urgently. And then concerning the NLC planned strike, I believe it will have maybe little or no impact at all, because the government of the day will always have a say at the end of everything. So I just believe if at all the strike goes on, it's just like a point to the government that, look, we're angry with what's happening in the country, and then you need to do something urgently. And then I pray at the end of the day they are able to do something, not just by protesting or going on a strike, but let it have an impact. Okay, maybe they talk about the palliatives, let it work out. That's what we're asking for.
It's not funny because we all were not expecting this to happen, and all of a sudden the prices keep increasing by the day, and it's affecting business people, entrepreneurs, office people, civil servants. Those that don't even have a car, we can't cope because all the commercial transportation have added their price of transportation, and even those that have cars now can't even go out with their cars, especially those that have more than one, maybe their wife and their kids or their husbands have their cars, so they have to manage because the price is really, really alarming. So to me, I think the government needs to do something about it. Even if they're going to increase the price of the fuel, they should have a backup plan for the masses, especially the poor masses. If there's no light, we need to on our generator, and that's something we need fuel for. So if the price is that high, a lot of people can use their generator, not to talk more of move around their various businesses. So to talk about the NLC strike, I don't think it's a good thing, even though it's something they're always good at doing. But I think they have their reasons for doing that. But I wish the government should settle them whatever they are asking for, so that the country can come back to normal.
Oh God, the situation of the country now. Like, I don't really want to say anything about it. It's so saddening, God. But my sister, I don't want to say anything. Please, God.
So you've heard the different views from these individuals, and we can only hope that things will get better. Like the popular saying, last, we go there all right. I am Zurampera Joel on the streets of Gariki, Abuja. Catch me here next week from the streets. Back to you, Mewuri.
Well, we'll move over to talking point and talking serious issues now. We're looking at President Bola Tinubu's goodies for MSMEs and nano companies. So let's join Franklin Akinyosoye on our first talking point today as he looks at the package that was released by President Bola Tinubu on Monday for small businesses, that's nano businesses, and of course, other MSMEs. Many people say this is just the beginning of palliatives. Let's take a look. Thank you very much for joining us on Talking Point today. We'll be looking at the business palliatives, or will I say the business goodies dished out by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu quite recently, just to assuage the labor demands and even Nigerians who have been crying that his policies are anti-people or anti-poor. And to look at specifically at the palliatives that have been given to businesses is a business development consultant. He is Dr. Franklin Akiosoye. Dr. Franklin Akiosoye, thank you very much for joining us on the program.
Thank you for the invitation.
Now, I'll go straight. President Bola Tinubu talked about the expansion of the manufacturing sector with credit facilities of 75 billion naira to 75 enterprises from July 2023 to March 2024. So I ask, when you heard this, what was your impression first? What did you think about this? And do you think that this is achievable?
I think a good research should have been done to first find out what are the issues. And the issues are clear to everyone. It's not only about money, it's more about infrastructure that these 75 to receive 1 billion will be working with. It's about the people accepting what those 75 companies or industries will be producing.
The question is, how do we select these 75 companies that will get 75 billion? That's 1 billion naira each. How do you select them? Because this has been a major challenge in Nigeria.
As a consultant, it will not be difficult to do. But as a politician, I wonder how they will do it. All right? If I am to select those 75, I will do some thematic analysis and research. I'll look at different industries, key industries. First of all, I'll look at agric industry. Do I want to give 30, 40% of these 75 to agric? I'll look at the textile industry. Do I want to go to textile? Because Nigeria has been flooded now with all sorts, and our textile industry has gone comatose. So what I'll be doing are, where are those textile industries that are small enough to absorb my 1 billion, but has the speed to begin to produce in the next 3-4 months? I'll look for those ones. Because the textile industries, they employ a lot of people, a large number of people. Then I look for the agro-processing companies. What are those things we need right now to cushion the lacks and the scarcities that we have around? Is it corn? Do I want to look at those people producing corn? Do I want to look at those people in rice? What are the staple food? Or bakeries? You know, all those things that will quickly impact on the dining table of Nigerians, that will absorb maybe 10,000, 20,000 people. Those are the ones I'll look at for. So I'll look for those industries that can quickly absorb people from the environment or the society. And I also look at the value chain. If I'm looking at textile, for example, I want to look at some farmers who produce cottons. All right? I will also want to look at, after he produces the textile, for example, who are those that will buy? Are there industries that are making use of finished products of textile and the rest of it? So that the man producing the textile industry, for example, after he has produced the materials, nobody is buying, it becomes a problem. Okay, I give him the 1 billion, he needs cotton, nobody is producing cotton. That's a problem. So these are the things that I said we must carry out research. And it's a fantastic question you have asked. How do you select these 75? So for me, like I've said in summary, it must be those that have urgent impact on the economy and the dining table. Those are the two major things that he must be looking at right now.
That's our first talking point. We'll talk to Franklin Akiosoye. We're talking more about the package by President Bola Tinubu, which many say is the first of the many palliatives that will come in the next 2-3 years to cushion the effects of the fuel subsidy removal. Let's move over to our next talking point, where Dr. Kasme Ifeanyi will be looking at the health sector, brain drain. Why is this so? What can be done to curb it? It's also the first of a two-part interview that we shall be bringing you right now. We'll be looking at the issue of brain drain in the health sector. What are the economic impacts? We may not be reeling out figures here today, but by the time you finish listening to our guests, you'll be able to figure out the economic impact of this brain drain. Our guest today is Dr. Kasme Ifeanyi. Dr. Kasme Ifeanyi is the Publicity Secretary of the Medical Laboratory Scientists Association in Nigeria will be telling you a lot more about issues in the sector. Doctor, welcome to the program. Now, let's start with the fact that there are a lot of, the resident doctors right now strike, and they've been this 18th time of strikes. Looking at the recurring strikes, not only by resident doctors, but by generally health workers, you ask yourself, in whose interest are these health workers going on a strike?
I must say that if we're discussing the health sector, we'll take it in its entirety. And my honest take will be that the Nigerian health system, the Nigerian health sector, has collapsed. And it collapsed long before now. It collapsed before COVID-19. We have been grappling with a failed health system, a comatose health system. And of course, the weaknesses, the frailties, the gaps, the rot in the health sector became very obvious following the COVID pandemic, to the extent that a top public servant, in fact, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, did acknowledge who was the then chair of the Presidential Task Force on COVID, that they didn't know that the rot in the health sector was that much. Now, what do you do when a place is decaying, rotting, and putrefying? You flee. So what we are noticing that you referred to as brain drain is simply people fleeing a rotten, putrefied system, all and sundry, ready to leave. Now, you see, my worry is that since we ended hospital administrators, what was known as hospital secretaries, and willingly handed the management, the administration of our health system into the hands, waiting hands of physicians who prior to that time had agitated to be in the Hemsman. It was handed over to them. Somebody studies about the brain, a neurologist. He spends 8 to 12 years cumulatively studying about how to care for people with brain challenge. He comes out, he becomes a consultant, and you take him, you lock him up in a place, and you call him CMD or MD. Whereas he has little or no knowledge about the management of man and material. That is the genesis of that collapse. So you recall that sometime last year, a dispatch of team from Saudi Arabia came, hoisted a recruitment center at the Transcorp Hilton. What do you think they were doing? Shopping for the best hands available in Nigeria that they can take back to Saudi. Thousands went there, both student doctors and consultants. And so the point is that across the group, there's a trust to fortify their health system. Because the way COVID exposed our weaknesses here, it did expose in developed clime. The difference is that in developed clime, they have health systems that are robust. They have health policies that they are not ready to compromise. They have processes, they have systems, they have institutions. In Nigeria, we do not have processes, we do not have systems, we do also not have institutions. What we have is a one-off strong individual who holds sway as CMD or MD or Minister of Health or Commissioner of Health. So that is not how systems are built. So having said that, the United Kingdom is in dire need of an energetic health workforce. The United States are in their need of an energetic health workforce. Canada and other parts of Europe are in their need of an energetic health workforce. where else to find them in developing countries? Which countries will top list of available source? Nigeria. They can't go to India. They will never go to India. But recall that there were times that the hub for medical for brain drain was rivers. Indians were coming to Nigeria. People from Cuba were coming to Nigeria. I am talking of doctors to work in this same country where today we're crying that our people are living in droves.
Nigerians are certainly going through a difficult period, and Nigeria is at a stage where we either make it or break it. So what are we going to do? Are we just going to keep on protesting and ensuring that the country continues to bleed? Or are we going to support the government to see whether its policies will work? They call it anti-people or anti-poor policies. But what do you call it? Send us your comments on 070-102949. That's 070-10612949. I am Imewari Uhiamokhai, and this is a production of Cinema Productions. Have a good week. It's always nice doing business with you.